Indonesia's volcano Mount Semeru started erupting. Mount Semeru's deadly eruption was triggered by rain and storms, making it much harder to predict. This is on The Conversation by Heather Handley, Adjunct Associate Professor, Monash University. The eruption of Mount Semeru, Indonesia on Saturday tragically claimed lives of 22 people, another 22 still missing, many injured. More than 5,000 people have been affected by the eruption, and more than 2,000 people have taken refuge at 19 evacuation points. Saturday's eruption produced an ash plume that reached 15 kilometers into the atmosphere, along with hot pyroclastic flows, dense, fast-moving clouds of solidified lava, ash, and gas. Volcanic mud flows called lahars also tumbled down the volcano's steep slopes. Heavy ash blanketed nearby villages and plunged some areas into temporary darkness. Several villages have been buried in up to 12 feet of volcanic material. That's enough to cover the houses' rooftops. And debris, more than 3,000 buildings have been damaged, and Gladak Perak Bridge, which connected Lumajang with the nearby city of Malang, has collapsed. Because, of course, this ash and pyroclastic flow is very heavy. Now, the Volcanic Observatory Notice for Aviation, VONA, has since reported further pyroclastic flows traveling down to the volcano slopes and ash plumes reaching 4.5 kilometers above its summit. There's also reports of lava flows at the summit crater. Mount Semeru is one of the most active volcanoes in Java, with activity taking place in 74 of the past 80 years. The volcano's current eruptive phase began in 2014, with frequent emissions of ash plumes to hundreds of meters above the crater, pyroclastic flows, and glowing lava avalanches. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. Unexpected larger scale eruption. But Saturday's eruption was unexpectedly much larger than the ongoing background of activity. The head of the Geological Agency of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, Eko Budi Lelono, said a thunderstorm and persistent rain had eroded part of the volcano's lava dome, a plug of solidified lava at the summit, and this caused the dome to collapse, triggering the eruption. Lava dome collapse is a common trigger of volcanic eruptions and has been behind some of the deadliest eruptions in history. Collapse of the unstable dome of solidified lava is rather like taking the tap off a fizzy drink bottle, depressurizing the system and triggering an eruption. Lava domes sometimes collapse under their own weight as they grow, or they can be weakened by external weather conditions, as was evidently in the case of Mount Semeru just now. The fact that Saturday's eruption was triggered by an external factor rather than conditions inside the volcano would have made this event harder to forecast. Volcano monitoring typically relies on signs of increased unrest inside the volcano. Increased earthquake activity can be a sign that magma is moving around beneath the ground. Another warning sign is a change in the temperature or type of gases emitted. Sometimes small changes in the shape of the volcano or lava dome can be detected on the ground or from satellites. Another fatal, hard-to-predict explosive eruption happened in 2019 at Wakari, White Island, New Zealand. That event was thought to have been driven by an explosion of pressurized steam rather than by magma, which made it challenging to predict. Living with active volcanoes. As the world's population grows, more and more people are living close to active volcanoes. According to one estimate, more than 1 billion people, that's 14% of people on the planet, live within 100 kilometers of an active volcano. In Indonesia, more than 70% of the population live within 100 kilometers of one or more of the country's 130 active volcanoes. 130 active volcanoes in Indonesia, can you imagine? That's a staggering 175 million people. More than 8.6 million Indonesians live within 10 kilometers of an active volcano, well within the range of deadly pyroclastic flows. The fertile soils typically found near volcanoes mean these communities need to balance their livelihoods with the risks, and keeping an eye on dozens of active volcanoes poses a continuous challenge to Indonesia's volcano monitoring and disaster management authorities. And here we are on volcano discovery. Mount Semeru Volcano news and eruption. It's erupting, of course, 4 out of 5. And look at this, almost every single year since 1818 it's been erupting. East Java, Indonesia, heavy rains likely was the main cause of Saturday's catastrophic eruption. See, this is one of the things that volcanologists don't take into account, the fact that weather can play a role in the volcanic dome or the roof of the magma chamber. Okay, Semeru Volcano reports collapse of a lava dome in Semeru's Seleko crater southeast flank during the 6 December. On the 1st of December, material collapsed from the unstable distal end of the 1 kilometer long lava flow in the southeast flank. The drainage sending pyroclastic flow 700 meters down the valley. Subsequent avalanches were recorded by the seismic network that day and on December 3rd were not visually confirmed, likely due to several days of rainy conditions. And let's go a little bit more to see what's here. The rainy conditions. At 3:13 on December 4th, seismic network recorded avalanche signals. A larger collapse began at 14:47, seen by an observer at the Mount Semeru Volcano Observatory. Avalanches of incandescent material from the summit dome, southeast flank lava flow descended 500 to 800 meters. Pyroclastic flows visible at 13:10, so that was about 2 hours later. Descending at the Kobakan drainage at 15:20, a large pyroclastic flow produced a large roiling and expanding ash cloud that eventually rose to 50,000 feet or 15 kilometers. Reports from residents describe darkness from airborne ash and rain and foggy conditions. Pyroclastic flows was deposited in 2 districts in the Lumajang Regency. 8 districts in the neighboring Malang Regency were covered with ash as well. Preliminary estimates suggest that deposit extended at least 16 kilometers from the summit. So you can see additional pyroclastic flows December 5th and 6th. So every day since then we've had pyroclastic flows. The incandescent avalanches descended 500 meters, and a December 6th pyroclastic flow traveled 4 kilometers down, temporarily halting rescue and recovery efforts. Later that day, the head of the police officers and BNPP and others conducted a 15-minute overflight of the Kuran Kobakan, observing steam plumes rising from the deposits. Estimated about 3,000 houses and 38 educational facilities across several sub-districts in Lumajang Regency have been destroyed or damaged by the pyroclastic flows. December 7, estimated 4,250 residents were displaced in about 20 evacuation centers, most people originally from the Lumajang Regency and fewer from the Malang and Blitar Regencies. And obviously these people can't go back there. They're under, 14 feet of ash, 15 feet of ash. So that's the end of those villages. They'll have to relocate somewhere else. As we said, Indonesia has over 130 volcanoes. So this is on Volcano Discovery. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support.